committed, proud of East Texas. You're watching KTRE 9 News.
Good evening to you, East Texas, and thank you for ending your week with us on this Friday night. We begin with a first alert weather day as parts of East Texas saw snow and ice earlier today. Now tonight we are left with bone-chilling temperatures. Brad joins us now. Now, Brad, what's in store for us this weekend?
Well, John Carlos, the precipitation threat has ended, but as we move into the weekend, the big story will be the deep freeze setting in across deep East Texas. In fact, we have hard freeze warnings in place now for much of our area, and that's indicated by the shading of purple there with all of our counties. And right now, look at this, already down to 27 in Nacogdoches, 26 in Lufkin, Center and St. Augustine at 28 degrees with 27 in Groveton. So we're already below freezing, and we're going to drop even more later on tonight. In fact, look at your Saturday forecast. Here's the good news, the sun returns, but it's going to be a cold sunshine. In fact, we'll start off at 22 degrees in the morning, and it probably will not get above freezing until the lunch hour, and even then we're only looking for a high of around 40 degrees in the afternoon. So it's going to be a cold Saturday, and Sunday's not looking much warmer either. We'll have details on that and the rest of your first alert forecast in just a few moments.
Well, thank you, Brad. 80 million Americans in 40 states are bracing for extreme weather. States of emergencies have been declared in Alabama, Georgia, and North Carolina. Out west in California, they could be hit with a once-in-a-decade storm this weekend. ABC's Elizabeth Hurd has more on this storm in the U.S.
Winter weather watches and warnings from New York to California and in areas not used to snow.
North Carolina forces are being mobilized. The State Highway Patrol has been mobilized.
It's all hands on deck in North Carolina. Preparations also well underway in Alabama and Georgia.
Our goal, including the goal of the state, is to have everyone off of metropolitan Atlanta roadways by 4 p.m.
Road crews in Georgia out ahead of the storm. Their goal is to prevent a repeat of this nightmare from 3 years ago when an ice storm shut down Metro Atlanta.
I remember cars being everywhere. My parents got stuck.
It was one of the strangest things I've ever seen.
Out west, winter storms are already wreaking havoc. Workers at Denver's airport busy de-icing planes, and drivers near Reno are being asked to stay off this highway after 2 people were rescued from an avalanche.
Go, go.
In New York, some residents are digging out from 2 feet of snow. Some roads in West Seneca impassable for school buses, forcing children to spend the night in their classroom.
But it was scary, but it was good to know that they were in safe hands here at school. I would rather them here than on the road stuck somewhere.
That was Elizabeth Hurd reporting. The storms, as you can imagine, are also affecting hundreds of flights already delayed and canceled across the country. Many airlines are taking steps to help travelers, waiving fees to change flights. And an Angelina County landlord avoids jail time after he tried to evict tenants using a rifle. Newly elected District Attorney Joe Martin tells KTRE that Tex Sutton, seen here, has pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor charge of terroristic threat. He will serve 2 years of deferred adjudication, meaning that he will avoid a felony conviction if he can behave under probationary terms. Sutton wanted some of his tenants evicted back in May and pointed a rifle at them. Martin tells us that plea agreement was made by the previous administration, in which his office is now obliged to honor. And we're learning new details about the deadly shooting in the baggage claim area at the Fort Lauderdale airport. Tonight, authorities are working to piece together what happened this afternoon. Scott McLean has the latest.
Five people are dead and 8 are injured after a shooting at the Fort Lauderdale airport. Authorities say the shooter, Esteban Santiago, opened fire after arriving on a flight from Alaska with a gun he had checked in his luggage. The shooting happened in the baggage claim area of Terminal 2 shortly before 1 o'clock local time, sending people running and taking cover. Videos from passengers and local news outlets shows chaos and confusion as hundreds of people ran onto the tarmac and into the parking areas.
My family's in Terminal 2. I was taking the rental car back and kind of waiting between Terminal 1 and the rental car place. Everybody started running out of Terminal 1, out of the rental car place. Some lady was yelling for help down in the garage, so I just ran and here I am.
Officers were able to apprehend the suspect without incident.
We have the shooter in custody. He's unharmed. No law enforcement fired any shots. The subject is being interviewed by a team of FBI agents and Broward Sheriff's Office homicide detectives.
According to an Army National Guard official, Santiago left the Alaska Army National Guard in August. Authorities are trying to determine the motive for the shooting and are looking into claims that he got into an altercation while flying from Anchorage to Florida.
And Nacogdoches Mayor Roger Van Horn will not be seeking re-election in May. Van Horn is in his 10th year as mayor. He says not to run for another term was a difficult decision. He says his goal as mayor was to give citizens trust in the process of governance. Van Horn says the city and himself are already ready for some fresh ideas, new thoughts, and younger people. Van Horn describes his decision as very thoughtful and prayerful.
I've been thinking about it for a few months, only because I'm going to be turned 73. I retired from dentistry, and I got an issue with my throat for a while, and I began to just think about how do I want to spend however many years the Lord is going to give me. And so I'm making some changes, and that was one of them.
Van Horn says his health had nothing to do with his decision not to run, except it gave him a lot of reflection time. He has not decided whether or not to endorse a future candidate for the at-large position. And today, President-elect Donald Trump faced off with intelligence officials when he received a classified briefing on the report about Russian hacking the election. This comes after President Obama was briefed on the report he requested yesterday. ABC's Karen Travers has the latest.
U.S. intelligence agencies say Russia's election interference marks a significant escalation. The newly released declassified report says Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered an influence campaign in 2016 aimed at the U.S. presidential election to undermine public faith in the U.S. democratic process, denigrate Secretary Clinton, and harm her electability and potential presidency. We further assess Putin and the Russian government developed a clear preference for President-elect Trump. In an exclusive interview with ABC's George Stephanopoulos, President Obama weighed in.
The Russians intended to meddle, and they meddled.
And in New York, Trump and Vice President-elect Mike Pence getting briefed by top intelligence officials on their report on Russia's election cyber attacks. Despite his ongoing public skepticism, Trump said his briefing Friday was, quote, a constructive meeting and conversation. In a statement, Trump also pointed the finger at China and other countries, saying they're also trying to break through American cyber infrastructure. And with 2 weeks until he takes the oath of office, Trump defending his win, saying there was absolutely no effect on the outcome of the election, including the fact that there was no tampering whatsoever with voting machines.
As Karen Travers reporting, it's notable that after his briefing today, Trump still did not publicly acknowledge or accept the intelligence community's consensus review that Russia engaged in cyber attacks in an attempt to interfere with the election. And the Ellen Trout Zoo in Lufkin is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. Nearly 150,000 visits to the zoo last year and more are expected during the 2017 season. The zoo began in 1967 with local industrialist Walter Trout wanting a zoo and a gift from a friend.
December 1965, a pickup truck pulled up outside of Lufkin Industries with a big box on it, and inside the box was a baby hippo, and along with that was a Christmas card that said, "Merry Christmas, Walter, may all your troubles be big."
The zoo is looking to the future with a $6 million gorilla exhibit. They need to raise an additional $4 million for that project. And in Nacogdoches, the Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service on January 16th is facing a good problem. They have more volunteers sign up than service projects. If you would like to submit a project, the deadline to submit one in Nacogdoches is January 11th. Project applications can be made at the Office of Multicultural Affairs at their website. It will provide a link at ktr.com and our mobile app. And she is a sweet girl that faces many challenges in life. Selena is looking for her forever family in tonight's gift of love. That's a little later. But first, in tonight's Showbiz Headlines, a tribute to a mother and daughter that performed and loved Broadway back in 67.
You're watching KTRE News, proud recipient of the Texas Associated Press Broadcasters Award for Best Newscast.
And welcome back. When the weather dips into the 20s like tonight, people in East Texas tend to stay inside, but that's not the case in Canada, as Greg Ross gives us a look.
How long are you guys out here every day?
About 3 hours.
Does it get pretty choppy after 3 hours?
Some days it gets really bumpy a lot of days because there's a lot of slush.
That's a lot of wear and tear on George Galambos' backyard rink. But he says thankfully his dad has found a way to keep it in tip-top shape.
I call this the Galamboni. I call it the Galamboni because my last name's Galambos, and it's essentially a Zamboni.
It's a pretty simple design.
You had most of the materials.
Yeah, I mean, this is just garbage can that was kicking around and a yard wagon.
And it's just as easy to use.
We'll wet down the towel, turn the valve on.
How quickly is that water coming out?
Pretty quick. There's about 10 holes across that. So what it does is instead of just pouring water on and flooding it, and there's actually, when you do that, the water's about that high. So this just brushes it all out.
Where did you get the idea for this?
We started searching different websites and went onto YouTube and saw a couple different dads or that had done designs. And, we meshed a couple together and came up with this one.
It also does the job much quicker, which means there's more time for the kids to do this.
And let's take a look at some of the biggest headlines coming out of Hollywood this week. We start things off with new music for fans of Ed Sheeran. This video appeared earlier this week on Sheeran's Twitter feed, and last night the Grammy award-winning singer released 2 new songs, his first new music in nearly 2 years. The 2 songs have topped Billboard Plus Twitter trending 140 chart with the hashtag #WelcomeBackEd. And actress Viola Davis got the first new star of 2017 on the Hollywood Walk of Fame Thursday. Her co-star in the 2008 movie Doubt, Meryl Streep, helped with the unveiling. Located across the street from the historic Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, you can watch Viola in How to Get Away with Murder right here on KTRE in 2 weeks. And earlier tonight, Broadway dimmed their lights as a tribute to Debbie Reynolds and Carrie Fisher. Mother and daughter both made their Broadway debuts in 1973's revival of Irene. The actresses were buried side by side together at a private ceremony with family and friends at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Hollywood. And will this wintry weather mix last through the weekend? Brad has his details and his first alert forecast coming up.
KTRE First Alert Weather is sponsored by McWilliams & Son Heating and Air, celebrating 40 years, where we're not comfortable until you are.
Well, it was certainly a frigid winter day in East Texas, and we did have a little wintry precipitation earlier today. I know areas around Nacogdoches, Lufkin, St. Augustine, even down to Jasper had some sleet mixed in with some light precipitation, but thankfully our surface temperatures were above freezing, so anything that did fall actually melted once it reached the ground. If you take a look at the climate almanac for Lufkin, we started off at 26 this morning and got up to 39 degrees this afternoon. No rainfall to report, but again, we did have some sleet around from time to time late this morning into the early afternoon hours. And the window of opportunity for wintry precipitation has come and gone. It is pretty much over with right now as dry air continues to work its way into East Texas. And again, the big story now will be the hard freeze we're expecting over the next couple of nights. Right now it's 25 degrees in Crockett, 27 in Groveton. Lufkin, we're at 26 right now, already down to 28 in St. Augustine, and even down around Woodville, Livingston, we're already in the 20s. So you know when we're this cold at 10 o'clock, it is going to be a very cold night ahead. And look at this, we're talking overnight lows tonight right around 21 in Center and in Nacogdoches. Lufkin will drop to 22 with 22 in Crockett and 23 in Groveton. So hopefully you've got some extra logs on that fireplace tonight because you're going to need them. And then here's the thing. We get sunshine back tomorrow, but it's really not going to warm us up any more than what we saw today. In fact, we'll shoot for a high of 40 in Lufkin, 39 in Nacogdoches. Hemphill will be at about 40 tomorrow afternoon with 42 degrees in Jasper. And again, that cold air remains locked in place. So even though the sun's out, it's going to take a while for things to warm up. So here's what's going to happen. High pressure builds in over the weekend. Again, that's going to keep the frigid air locked in place with the clear skies as well as we head through Saturday. Saturday night into Sunday, going to be another deep freeze once again, as we will see lows bottoming out in the teens and low 20s. So this will be a pipe bursting type of freeze here the next 2 days. Make sure your pipes are wrapped and not exposed to the cold elements out there. Otherwise, we could be having some issues. But here's the good news for you warm weather lovers. By the time we get into Monday, a south wind starts to kick in. And once we get that onshore flow, we're quickly warming things up. In fact, temperatures will be about 15 to 20 degrees warmer by the time we get into Monday. And then that warming trend continues into the middle part of next week. So here's a look at your first alert 3-day forecast. Again, 22 to 40 for Saturday. 21 to 47 on Sunday. So Sunday's actually a little bit warmer, but still chilly. And then as you get into Monday, that south wind kicks in, and once we get that shift in the wind direction, we're back up in the mid-60s on Monday. And from there, yeah, we got some milder air on tap for the middle part of next week. Highs around 70 degrees Tuesday, and then we'll stay in the 60s and 70s through the remainder of the week with just a couple opportunities for rain. A slight chance comes into play Tuesday, and then maybe a slightly better chance as we head towards next Thursday and Friday. In the meantime, stay warm and have yourselves a great weekend.
Well, thank you, Brad. She is a sweet girl that faces many challenges in life, and more than anything in the world, she wants a family to care for her. Our Jennifer Hines introduces us to Selena in tonight's Gift of Love.
It was an afternoon of discovery for Selena and me as we made our way through the Brookshires Wildlife Museum. Selena loves to watch dramatic shows. She also enjoys going on outings with her school and her family, such as the rodeo, movies, and sporting events.
She's a very happy child. She loves to interact. She loves to be nosy. She is the typical 13-year-old girl. She loves boys.
Selena loves to laugh and make those around her laugh, too. She likes receiving attention and loves hugs. Selena enjoys watching other children play and will reach for them as they move past her.
She loves to swim. She loves to go shop. She loves to go to the zoo.
The monkeys are funny. Selena is a child with special needs who is wheelchair bound and requires a feeding tube.
She has cerebral palsy, so she's unable to walk or she's unable to crawl. She can't take care of herself at all. She requires 24-hour care.
She will need special attention in areas such as communication, self-care, getting along in social situations, and school activities. A family that likes to be on the go would be a good match for Selena.
But just somebody that would take the time to interact with her, involve her.
And most importantly, show Selena the gift of love. Jennifer Hines, KTRE, East Texas News 9.
If you'd like to know more about Selena or any East Texas child available for adoption, you can call our Gift of Love hotline toll-free at 1-888-KIDS-275 or visit KTRE.com. And our sports director, Laura Sadler, joins us now. The Houston Texans have a really big game tomorrow.
The wild card playoff games, they start tomorrow, and the action will include the Texans taking on the Raiders. I'll have more on this matchup coming up.
KTRE East Texas Sports is sponsored by Tipton Ford in Nacogdoches. Don't spend more, save more at TiptonFord.com.
Tomorrow is the big day. The Houston Texans start their postseason quest, and in his third year in Houston, head coach Bill O'Brien will be looking to get his first playoff win with the franchise. The Texans are readjusting their offense, once again naming Brock Osweiler the starting quarterback in this one. Houston is looking to take advantage of the quarterback situation in Oakland, where they are having to start rookie Connor Cook. Texans defense is what's kept them in the games this year, and their focus is stopping the run. Raiders are the 6th best ranked rushing attack in the NFL, and considering that there is a rookie at quarterback, there's a high possibility he's going to be handing it off more times than not.
As a great quarterback, no doubt, of course, but he's still a rookie, and so he hasn't had much experience as the other quarterbacks have had. And so, honestly, we've got to be able to take advantage of that fact, force him to make some quick throws, force him to make some bad decisions, but essentially we have to stop the run first, though.
Game will be at Houston's NRG Stadium tomorrow, starting at 3:35. After Randy Gregory was handed a one-year suspension without pay yesterday, Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones is adamant that they will continue to support him. The lengthy suspension comes after he violated the NFL substance abuse policy for a third time. The defensive end is only in his second year in the league and has already served a 14-game suspension this year for violating the same policy. Jones went on to say in a press conference today that the lengthy suspension was no surprise. He also said he has a reason to believe that Gregory can have a bright future.
He's genuine in his efforts. He's genuine in his rehab efforts. As this appears, does not reflect some of the success that he's having and that he's had. And so I do have reason to be encouraged about his future. We'll continue to support Randy in every way. And one of the favorites with his teammates, one of the favorites with his coaches, has shown us his potential, held a good accounting of himself during this period of time that he's been active with the team.
The suspension is effective immediately. The earliest Gregory could be in a Cowboys jersey would be if they play into next year's postseason. Now, with this being his third violation, the only contact he can have with the team is bi-weekly phone calls with the team's director of player development, and the only time he'll be allowed at the facilities is for treatment. The Orlando Magic got a nice visit from the Houston Rockets tonight. We picked things up from the third. Ryan Anderson could not be stopped from behind the arc. He ties the game at 53 there. And then look at the range on this one. Anderson finished with 19 points tonight. And then here he is again to give the Rockets a 5-point lead. All right, but let's move on and highlight someone else. Eric Gordon finds a wide open Patrick Beverley. The Rockets had 15 three-pointers in this game. James Harden pulls off the floater, making it 97-90. And the Houston Rockets are on a 7-game win streak now, winning tonight 100-93. We'll be right back.
Get the best in local and global news, weather, and sports coverage now in Spanish with KTRE's brand new Noticias del Este de Texas app. Free in both the iOS and Android app stores. Just search KTRE and download it today.
Here are the winning numbers from the Texas Lottery. Good luck from the Texas Lottery and KTRE.
And welcome back. A quick personal note. Tonight is my last newscast at KTRE East Texas News. It's been a pleasure working here the last 2+ years. I've really enjoyed getting to know you through the television, in person, telling your stories, and getting to tell you what's going on around East Texas every night. I made a home here. Now, for those interested, I'll be moving to Southwest Florida to anchor and report in about 2 weeks. And you now have a friend in the Sunshine State. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and online if you'd like to keep up with me. And again, thank you, East Texas, for watching from the bottom of my heart.
That's so sweet. I can't believe it's really your last newscast.
Newscast here in East Texas. I'm going to Florida. Well, I'll be anchoring weekends and reporting during the week. But it's been a pleasure working with you and, of course, Brad. And working with all the KTRE staff and reporters. So thank you again.
And you really did make it home. You brought us so many awesome, great stories. So bittersweet to see you go, but excited for you.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you. All right. Well, everyone, have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday.
Get your news wherever you are. Sponsored by McWilliams & Son Heating and Air, where we're not comfortable until you are. From news and weather to high school football or even